actually on time today. How about that, Jazz? Yes, it's a goal of mine. It's a goal to be on time. Welcome to Terry TV. Terry Hardin, Walt Disney's legendary Imagineer here. Hello. How are you? How is everything going? Oh my goodness, so excited about today. On Terry's Tribe, we had a treasure chest, and it was just so fun. Those are always fun, opening them up and seeing what's inside. So yay, goody. Hi, how are you? How was your weekend? Was it good? I'm gonna get a sip of tea. I'm in shock too that I'm here. Great to see you. Oh, so good. As I said, Terry Hardin, Walt Disney's legendary Imagineer here. Welcome to Terry TV. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you today. Great to see you. How was your weekend? I will talk a little bit about my weekend. I will share with you something very important and a couple of things. And I will talk about today's topic. Today's topic is so funny to me. And I'm just going to touch base on it right now, okay? Because it was just so bizarre to me. And that is that I got these news feeds. So because I speak with you, I'm always on the lookout for content, be it Disney, be it a movie, because I love film, a Ghostbusters announcement, a Downton Abbey announcement. I wasn't in Downton Abbey, but I love Downton Abbey. Certain announcements that I think you might enjoy because I enjoy them. And so I just want to share them with you, my YouTube family. I hope you don't mind. But basically, one of the things that keeps going across my feed over and over and over again is that people all over the world, at Disney parks all over the world, are breaking rules, Disney rules. And the interesting thing about breaking these rules is that, I was like, how could they break the rules? I mean, are they like Tippi Hedren when in The Bird she's teased because she jumps into a fountain in Rome and it turns out she was pushed into that fountain, but because she's a famous person, the media makes it their story so that you'll watch, kind of like clickbait? Or is it something more nuts and crazy? And it turns out, let me just have another sip, little scratchy throat. That'll do the trick. Thank you very much. Turns out that this whole deal is people climbing on stuff. Either they're allowing their children to climb on stuff, or they're allowing they're having their children climb on stuff. And forgive me, this is just to check on I have someone buy groceries for me. He's so sweet. Won't go into that, but just a sweet. My cousin, very sweet, always does Monday grocery shopping because he goes grocery shopping. So I have to make sure if he has a question. But other than that, also my dad is still in the hospital, but doing really well. He's going to be transferring soon. So yay for that. And so you can see I'm a bit giddy. Yeah. But anyway, so climbing on stuff and stepping over barriers and going into areas they shouldn't go into. Now, here's the thing I ask, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. Is it that Disneyland's not providing enough entertainment for you guys? I mean, now that the price is so expensive, you're creating your own by climbing over, climbing into, and doing things you shouldn't? I'm a little confused by it. I mean, I'm seriously confused by it, which is why I announced it today. So please, in the comments, if you are a Disney World, Shanghai, Japan, Paris. In Paris, this is happening. I was really surprised it's happening in Paris because usually Paris is a little different. Well, Japan is a little different. I just didn't think of them as people who do that, right? So just let me know what you're thinking. Some people think I don't talk enough about Walt Disney World. My eyes are on all the parks, and forgive me. During my Ask Me Anything, if you have a Walt Disney World question or announcement about Walt Disney World, you go right ahead and share it with me, all right? No park is ignored. I have my favorites, having designed Dragon's Lair in Disneyland Paris, someone wanting to pet the dragon, so they jump over the barrier or wade through the water. You see what I'm saying? Wacky stuff, in my opinion. Do you really need to do that? Are you someone who does need to do that? Are you someone who understands the mind of someone who does do that, climb up on things? And apparently in Paris, there's this Avengers ship. You guys can tell me what it's called. There's this Avengers ship, and people just could not stop climbing on it or getting near it, or, so now they have to create these barriers that are unsightly because people could get hurt, and therefore, what you're going to do. Well, maybe not you, but people will do. They'll, reach out to the court of public opinion, and there'll be some challenges. So just wanted to hear what you had to say about that. That's why I wrote that topic today. Mickey Mouse wonders, like I do, me and Mickey, we're wondering, are you not getting enough content? Because of the price, is there not enough for you to be entertained to do? So let me know. That was my question. If that's not the answer, please give me the answer, okay? And before I take a look at what you all are doing, let me just point out that I want to share with you, and I always share with you this, patreon.com/Terri Hardin every Monday and every Friday. Before I speak to you here on YouTube and Facebook publicly, I speak privately with my Patreon page and share with them a lot more things I can't share here, okay? And they share with me too. We do Zoom calls once a week, and tonight is our Zoom call. We're going to do it Monday night. And the reason I used to do them every Wednesday, but we got some, the tribe is a community. My group is a community. So we had a discussion, and many said they would love a nighttime one. So now during the month, I do at least one Monday night Zoom call. And I was going to save this for next week, but a lot of people were just wanting another one. And so I went ahead and did one tonight, and then next week will be Wednesday. I'd like to do Monday, Wednesday, but the point is that we try to do one a week. And those of you who work in the morning or are tied up in the morning can visit at night. So it gives both people equal opportunity. Try to service as many community members as possible. Plus, your voice needs to be heard. This is one of the things that I learned by making a Patreon page and asking you guys to join. And it is a membership site, $5 a month. And the total means that that's $60 a year. So go check it out and see if you want to be part of it. You can do it for a month. And if you don't like it, you can leave. I don't want you to leave. I think you will find that your voice matters and how important it is to have you as a part of this. So I encourage you to join. All right. I'd love to have you there. We talk about all things, not just Disney. I talk about how to advance in your career, how to make a living doing what you love, or if you're stuck, or if you're feeling melancholy because you've tried and you feel like you're banging the head against the wall, all that stuff. We all discuss it. In fact, let me just point out one thing that happened. One of the tribe members was writing a resume, needed to put together a resume. And although I'm not aces with that, because I'm known, they usually just call me and say, hey, do this, or I audition through my agents. You may be someone who writes a resume, and maybe because of the pandemic, yours is a little dusty. And so we have people on the tribe that help you with some of the wording, with some of the talking. Sometimes we don't talk so good about ourselves. So this is the opportunity for you to learn how some other people in the tribe will help you say what you need to say, how to present yourself in a good way, because this is what many of them will do for a living. Their palette, instead of being watercolors or oils or acrylics or sculptured clay or ZBrush or whatever, turns out to be the written word. So they're there to help you. So I'm telling you, all walks of life are here on the Patreon page. And if it sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, $5 a month. So give it some thought. Go over there and check it out at least and see if it's something for you. Okay. All right. There you go. It's a great group of people, and we'd love to have you be a part of it, especially if you're upbeat, or you need, just come. It's got all kinds of cool things going on. All right. Okay. So let's go over and see what you have to say. Today, we'll see what's on the docket with all of you and how was your weekend and what's happening. Let me just say that if you want your name to appear here, go up to the top and give StreamYard permission to to put your name here on their live feed. Now, if you are having trouble with this particular broadcast part, go to the original announcement. Some people say if you go to where I originally announced the live broadcast, that it's easier to reach Zoom and do that. I mean, Zoom, reach StreamYard and give them permission. But never give up is your goal, okay? So try a couple of things so I can see who you are. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see what you've got to say. We can talk about these rule breakers. Because, when I think of a rule breaker, I think, maybe you're in the corner smoking where you shouldn't smoke, or maybe you're going in the exit or something like that. I had no idea you were kind of making jungle gyms out of objects in Disneyland that weren't jungle gymmy. So keep me posted. Hello, Michelle Dwinell. Good to see you as I finish up my breakfast. Bob Berdine. Good morning, Terry and Terry TV viewers. Yes, welcome to Terry TV, where I pretty much just talk to you about stuff, whatever you want to learn, and eat my breakfast in front of you, which is terribly rude. I can show you a cute picture. There you go. Oops, that's not a cute picture. How about this one? There you go. That's a better picture. Well, I finished chewing, so I'm not chewing in front of you. This is an illustration I did. It's watercolor and pen and ink. And it's Paris. It's the Paris castle. And then right underneath is the dragon I designed. And the original sold. I was named a Disney legend at the Disney Anna Fan Club event by the International. And they named me a Disney legend. And this drawing was auctioned off to support the club. And it went for just under $700. Very flattering to me because I just started painting about it. I started painting during the pandemic. So rather than tell you how long it's been, I'm just going to say around 2020, I started doing it. And what's interesting about this piece is that you cannot lift your pen. So you have to draw straight ink. And one of my sort of kind of mistakes is this line right here that you see kind of being the drawbridge. I mean, I think it kind of works, but I'm not so sure it's attached right. But anyway, you do the best you can. And then I painted with watercolors. So there you go. That way you could look at something pretty while I stuffed my face. And, I got to make sure I have some protein because I talk for, I'm on deck at 8:35 and then I just go. So I got to make sure that I've eaten something or I get a little lightheaded, especially after having COVID. So there you go. Thank you, Bob Berdine. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wow. Good morning, you fantastic friends. Hi. So again, one of the things I'd love to hear from you as I keep Connie Lane's little message here, which is very sweet. Let's talk about this. Why break the rules at Disneyland? Isn't there enough to see, enough to do? You pay a lot of money to go in there. So why would you allow your children or yourself to do these things that could damage the park for others? This is my question. I'd love to hear your comments. As I give myself a sip of tea. That's the conversation. And I will tell you stories if you have another question or so, okay? Hey, Terry and friends, says Angie. There she is. I have a lot to say about rudeness these days. It's happening everywhere. Siri was trying to get in on the thing. So many people think they are entitled these days and are above the rules. Okay, so here's Angie stating really quickly what she's observed. And I kind of feel the same way. Do you look at the park like it's yours and you should be able to do what you want? Or are you someone who sees this happening and, what do you do about it? How do you handle it? I'm sure Disney has the same feeling. She's finishing up her thought. It's very sad. It is. I think it is. I think it is because the park costs a lot to get in. So I'm surprised that people are doing this, not only to damage it. I mean, I don't think that they are saying, okay, let me be as open as I can. I don't think they say I want to climb it to damage it. I think they just are like, hey, I'd like to climb that. Or maybe you're a distracted parent because who hasn't been distracted as a parent? And the next thing you know, you got your kids climbing on a spaceship because they're just natural climbers. But the idea is to get them down. Don't watch as your kid climbs. Get them down, get them off of there. Because here is the thing. Depending on how badly you break the rules, you could ruin it for your entire family of ever coming to the park again. No fee will be big enough. You will be banned for life in some cases, and there's no retribution. There is no way that you can convince them that you can come back. That is like, you're done. So really think, if you're someone out there who is going to do this, or someone who's going to do this, because you could be banned for the day, banned for a month, banned for life, and you just don't want, do you? You don't want that to happen. So this is one of the reasons I popped into with this. I just thought I could hear from you, because I in my head, I would never do this. It's true I'm 65, but when I was younger, this is not what I went to Disneyland for, was to create my own experience. It was to create my own experience based on their experiences. You follow me? So as an Imagineer, I'm saying, hey, what's up? Okay. Good morning, Darren. Good morning. Michael, good morning. Good morning again. Michael and Mom. Yes, these are tribe members that are popping in and saying hello if they say again, because I did the earlier one, like I said. Prayers for you, Dad. So glad to hear he's doing better. Praise the Lord. Yes, he's doing much better. And what the next phase is that how COVID has rising numbers. Well, for the first time this weekend, the newspapers announced that they had come down for the second day in a row. This makes me really happy to hear this news. But the hospitals are jam-packed, according to my doctor, that is the doctor who is taking care of my father. And so they're trying to keep beds free. So the minute someone is better and doing well, they need to put them into another location so that they can convalesce and do physical therapy. And that's where my dad is right now. They are getting ready to move him to a different location so that he can start to do his physical therapy, make sure he can strengthen his legs, strengthen his waist, strengthen his arms, because he was really hurting and now he's better. And so now it's time to get your strength back, and they want him to be aided in that, because as of tomorrow, guys, my dad turns another year older. Yes, tomorrow's my father's birthday. He was so cute. What day is my birthday? I think he'd really like to be at the convalescent hospital so that I can go and visit him, because hospitals do not allow you to visit their patients because of COVID. So I have not been able to see my father, but I've been able to call my dad. So that's what's going on with my dad. Angie, thank you for saying that. And thank you for giving me the good wishes about my father. But I'm very, very eager to get him to a convalescent hospital so that I can see him and wish him happy birthday. He's going to be, I think, pretty sure he's going to be 88. So he's so young looking that he's forever 50 for me lately. So I just tell him, you're going to be 50 plus about, but he's going to be 88, which is cool. Don't you think, 2 infinities would be wonderful to be? So if you're 88, pat yourself on the back, rock stars, because you are double infinity, which I hope means, which I'm going to just say right out there, is a good year for you. 88. It's a good year. So I'm excited. Thank you, Angie. So kind of you. People don't discipline their children. And there are people out there that do. It's just that the ones that we often see are the ones, that don't. Okay. My best friend, the author of the book that I illustrated last year, Giggling Pumpkins, her kids were unbelievably wonderful. We would go to restaurants where, I always felt sad for the server because food would be flying, but her children, always polite and always very, very, very adult when they went to a restaurant. And here's kind of what they did. They liked going out to eat. They made, and I'm talking about my best friend and her husband, they made it a special treat. They didn't just go out to eat. They made it a treat for their children. So if their children were going to misbehave, that treat was erased. If you can't handle yourself outside at a restaurant, we're going to have to eat at home. Not that at home is worse. And in some cases, the way that my friend cooks is probably better. But the point is they like the experience, the adventure. And so what these parents did is let them know, if they want to go on the adventure, you have to behave in an adult, disciplined manner, a way that is about others, because no one wants to see kids going crazy and throw everything, and then the poor server has got to bring out not only the vacuum cleaner and the sponge, but a hazmat suit because there's food everywhere. I've seen it so often, and I just feel sorry for the server. They're not getting tipped for this. So you're right. Many children are not disciplined. In the case of Diane, she has a wonderful grandchild, so polite, so sweet, so elegant. Not a problem. Her kids are wonderful. My other friend, Holly Mack, another lovely couple of kids, just so wonderful to be around. And we're talking kids in the case, kids when they're young. Now my best friend's kids are older. I think, let's see, 2 of them are married and one of them is not married, but just the most dynamic, polite, wonderful young man that you ever want to meet. So you take those skills and manners with you, and you prepare your child for the future when they don't have you to say, stop it. You're being, whatever you want to say as a parent, right? And that will get you further when you're looking for work. If you're polite, if you're kind, if you're generous, and you're about helping others, right? So I agree that some people are like that. I will agree with that. Entitlement, disgusting, says Jim. And it's true. If you start to feel like you're coming around anybody who feels like it's their right. Okay. Sorry, that was my agent. I had a couple of auditions, and I can talk about that at another time if you're even interested. But she's a great lady. So she just reached out to me to tell me that the audition I did over the weekend, she just sent it in to the casting director. So yay. Anyway, entitlement. When you see somebody who acts entitled, adult or child, you really feel kind of bad for them. And those parents that buy everything for their kids. So I remember going to build a lightsaber, and I saw a parent with their little boy. He couldn't have been more than 3 years old. And he had a droid, he had a lightsaber, he had a helmet. I mean, is he really going to love all this stuff? And why are you spending hundreds of dollars on a child who is pretty much going to break it and then think he's allowed to have whatever he wants? Remember, since I am basically a 5-year-old in an adult body, I'm going to tell you something that little kids may or may not tell you, and that is you need to let them strive for their own dreams. Don't buy your children's dreams. You can buy a dream here and there, okay? I remember one of my dreams was to go to Disneyland with my friends, and on my 16th birthday, my dad granted that. Me and 6 friends went to Disneyland for the whole day to celebrate my birthday, okay? But by giving me those little pearls of dreams, it encouraged me as my parent for me to stretch for my dreams. And why was it important for me to do those dreams, not my father to do it for me? Even though he wanted to very, very badly, when I turned 16 and I could drive, he would have loved to given me a car. He did it for my sister, and who I feel turned out spoiled. Not bad, just spoiled. More about self instead about you. She may argue with me, but I disagree. Okay? But me, I said, no, Dad, I want to do this myself. You taught me to achieve my own dreams. Okay? So this is what I think. And I know many of you have kids that are just that way too. I've seen them and I've heard them, and they're amazing. One of my tribe members, Bella, she's very, very much about making and creating her own things. And a lot of times she makes things with the Cricut. So she and her grandma have a Cricut Joy, and she makes these items for charity events. And she's an amazing kid, and she's just now turning 11. Okay, I met her when she was 7. So I've known her a long time. But these are children who kind of show me what to do if you put your brain in the right and don't be thinking entitled, what you can do for others if you put your mind to it. Okay. And if you see these kids, these are little magical children. And it doesn't mean that they're anything special. It just means the parents are looking to help them become the magical children that they know they are. So please try not to be a buddy. And I'm not speaking to you and dissing you about how you're raising your kids. You may come back at me and say, you haven't had children. How dare you tell us how to raise kids? But I've been a kid. I've never forgotten how to be a kid. And I extorted from my parents quite a bit. God's truth. Okay. I did some things, manipulated my parents that, are kind of that are shameful when I was a kid, but kid's mind works. I want that. I'm getting it, so you've got to work with that. Okay. Just from my own knowledge of how I was when I was a child. Yeah. And how my sister was when she was a child. Yeah. So there you go. A lot of chat for that entitlement part, right? Unfortunately, it seems like the way of the world today, says Aaron. And I hope you're not right, Aaron, but I've seen it like you say. I feel that way. Yeah. Yeah. Good morning, John. Good morning, John E. Johnson. I'm happy to see you. I miss you. Miss you very much. One of the problems today, and I don't know if it's happening in your state, but there are people doing criminal activities that aren't necessarily being held accountable. And so if you're not being held accountable for your actions, why not do it? You see what I'm saying? This is the logic in some people's minds. So, for example, if you're told that you're not going to be convicted of a crime unless it's over, like, say, a benchmark of $1,000. So if you hear, if you steal more than $1,000, you're going to be brought up on charges, which some brains look at it and say, okay, so I can steal $999 and not get, you follow me? So I've seen a couple of videos where people have broken into stores, and they have a calculator and are calculating how much they stole so that they can get away with it. This teaches nobody any good things. Everyone must be accountable, because thou shalt not steal. It doesn't say thou shalt not steal anything over $1,000. This is craziness. This is the entitlement that everybody's talking about on the comments today. We've had about 5 people, chime in about how this is what they think is the norm now. So come on, as a group, things have got to change. Yeah. You're right. They had another fight break out in the Magic Kingdom last week between 2 families. Why are fist fighting at the most magic place? This is happening a lot, and I'm not sure why. Maybe you guys can help me with Angie's comment here about fish fighting, and I probably should show it again, because she's right. The other thing that's coming across my feed is families having a fist fight. Is it because we've had, like, the mask mandate is putting pressure on people, which I find ridiculous, because it's just a piece of cloth over your mouth. I don't know why this is a problem. Personally, Terry doesn't understand why it's a problem. She just, if this is going to keep you safe and better and even more others safe. Remember, I just got done with COVID-19. You can't even know how absolutely thrilled I was that I had worn a mask 99.9% of the time. Only when I unmasked did I catch it. So I made the announcement, but everyone who came back to me said they were negative. So because I wore a mask 90% of the time, I was outdoors and didn't wear a mask, and that's where I got nailed. So there you go. It could be someone who had not yet tested and had not shown symptoms, or it could be someone who felt they just wanted to be at that event and we're not going to let COVID stop them. Those are the people that make you nervous. Entitled, as we said, right? So just as she's saying, these fistfights, maybe people are just wound a bit too tight. Maybe their guitar string is just a bit too tight and it finally breaks, ping. And okay, so far we're good. Not my grocery man. Not my grocery man. But that's the entitlement thing, is that there are people that say, I've got COVID, but I don't want to miss that concert. I paid good money for the tickets or whatever. And they go. At least if they had a mask, there is, I have a friend who doesn't believe masks work. They do. Okay. And I love him. And I say, in this, I think you're wrong. So in my home, you wear a mask because I could have COVID. I don't want you to get it. What do you think? He felt a mask was a good idea in the house, even though he doesn't believe they work. You know, he did it because what if they do? Okay. Even when you're saying it doesn't, when you're opposite someone who's telling you they have the virus, yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. But you're absolutely right. The breakouts are insane. And this is something that could get you banned from the park entirely. Having a fist fight in the middle of the park involving kids and everybody. It just makes it, and you've paid a lot of money. The last thing you want to do is see a fight. Unless, people want to film it on their phones and get a lot of views. But I don't even want to do that because I don't want to encourage them. I don't want to think that a fight is happening so that people get YouTube views. You know what I'm saying? Everybody clicks on it so they get all these views. I don't want to say that, but a lot of people warn me about things that are clickbait. Okay. I didn't know what clickbait was. I'm not real knowledgeable in the social media world. But once I knew, that's why I wanted to talk to you about what I post, because then I'm sort of, abnormally not knowing that I'm clickbaiting you. And I don't want to do that. I want to talk about the thing that I'm talking about. And I'm talking about these rules, and that breaks the rules. Fist fight. Not to mention that, I've seen women hitting women and men hitting women, and it's so embarrassing. It makes you feel kind of sorry you're human. And I don't want anyone ever to feel that they're sorry they're human, you know? So, so you can see, I can feel my face in a freaky pose as I talk about that. And so, yeah. So here on Terry TV, we're going to talk about several things, but my face is like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'd do if I saw a fight break out. I'll tell you one thing for sure. I wouldn't go in the middle of it and try to break it up. I used to be that person that would go stop. I might yell stop, but I'm not going to be the one. I'm not strong enough. Some of these people are big, and you get in the middle, and then you get clocked, or you get blamed, or so the best thing to do is to maybe get the crowd around you to get them to stop. Let's all yell stop. We got to stay safe for ourselves, protect ourselves. But man, because some of those fights are, you see someone's hair flying around, their mouse ears go flying. It's terrible. It's terrible. It seems parents don't have control over their children, as Michael says. So see, Michael is echoing the same thing. Okay. Those of you who have children, you know that this can be avoided. Okay. Your children don't just automatically say, I'm going to act up. At least let me say this differently. They're not going to say, I'm going to act up 24/7. Okay. They just don't do that. There are times they choose to act up. I know I did. Okay. There were times I chose to pick a fight with my mom and dad. Oh yeah. I'll admit it. I just can't remember the exact incident, but I do remember that I did that. Yeah. Yeah. Because sometimes you just gotta, as a kid, you just feel you're right and you want to stand up for yourself. So, but I did not see it constantly. I don't think any child wants to do it constantly. I think it's harder to be understanding than to be a parent. It's easier to hand your child a phone than to tell your child to behave in line. Stop fighting. Don't throw a tantrum. Here's the phone. And then they are hypnotized by the phone. For example, you may or may not remember that one of the things I like is Free Comic Book Day, which happens in May. I went to the first time I went to Free Comic Book Day. I think it's the first weekend in May that it happens. But I went for the first time because I was fascinated by the fact that people are going to give you free comic books. These comic books are $3 and $4 a piece if they sell. And a lot of them are very special for the event. And it kind of advertises upcoming comic books, but they don't chintz on them. They're very beautiful. But I was in line to learn about these. I went early because I didn't know, when something is free, at least with Disney, you're going to get a line that wraps around the park, aren't you? San Diego Comic-Con, anything free, you can't even get in that dealer's room because it's so packed. People grabbing, speaking of entitlement. And so I didn't know what the Free Comic Book Day was going to be like, but it was very, very well handled. Actually, people were very, very polite, and the comic book lasts the entire day. So people don't run in and grab everything that they want. Some of them come early, because maybe the kids want a Star Wars comic or something if a comic's going to happen. But everyone is very, very polite to each other and helpful to each other. Excuse me, would you hand me a copy of that one? And they do. There's no snarling, grabbing, scratching. Very well behaved, all ages. I was very impressed with that. But there was a man in line because he told me he really wasn't there. There was a man in line before the comic book store opened. And he told me that he was not waiting to go to Free Comic Book Day, but that there was going to be an artist, a comic book artist, a pair of comic book artists that were doing, I guess, a Batman graphic novel or something. I could be wrong. But anyway, someone that was very important to him. I'm not much with comic books, but I'm learning because one of the people in our tribe is one of the biggest comic book illustrators and story writers in the business. And I'm saying this, but he really is. The man is on fire. He's just incredible. So he gave me a love of comic books. We illustrated a comic book for a young boy together, and he taught me the different levels of comic book art, and I became very fascinated with the world of comic books and how they were created. And I learned from someone who has been doing comic books for a very long time, a very brilliant person in our tribe. So on the Patreon page, $5 a month. So you could be there too. But anyway, he piqued my interest, and so I thought this Free Comic Book Day would be a great way to see various types of comic book art without having to spend any of my bankroll. Yeah, just like I have a bankroll. But basically, how to see examples of art for free, which is just cool. But while standing in line, this man was waiting to see this artist, and he had a little baby in a little stroller, a little baby boy. The boy was about 3. He began to tell me the story. He picked up his phone. He picked the phone. The child had the cell phone. And the phone was, let's say, Apple phone. Okay. High-end Apple phone. Okay. Like like mine. So let me show you like this. Okay. Like this, like big, like costs you money thing. Okay. And he was playing with it. He was playing a little game on it or whatever. And the father took it because he was going to make a phone call. And the boy was, And I said, wow, he's really phone centric. I said to the man. And he said, oh, yeah. He says, he sure is. He said, this is my 3rd phone. And the kid is like 3 maybe, or going on 3. This is my 3rd phone, says the man. The 1st and 2nd phone, the little boy had been given the phone, and you see where it plugs in here? Let me just show you here you see how it plugs in here, this little port where you plug in the cable? He had been sucking in that port and filled the phone up with so much saliva, it ruined the electronics, and he had to get another phone. Not once, but twice. Now, I don't know about you, but these are not $1.98 phones. These phones cost real money. So what does that say to you? That he really didn't want to deal with the child, so he gave him something to caw him out. And how many people do that? You know, in the old days, they used to set kids in front of the TV sometimes when parents needed a break. No problem with this. Just don't do it so much that it melts the brain of your children, okay? This is not a good plan. And when I was standing in line years ago, and Johnny Johnson, who's joined us, Johnny Johnson can vouch for this. We were in line for Pandora. Now, I had been trying to see Pandora since it opened, but the line is usually like 4 hours long. So John and I got smart. We went in, and it was only an hour wait. But the children I saw playing with their parents' phone, or God forbid their own phone at 2 years old or at 1 year old, was just embarrassing to me. Just to me, very, very sad. Just super, super sad. Don't do this, guys. Don't let the iPad or make it a special thing. If you're on a plane and you want your child to be entertained, I get that. Give them an iPad, because if the plane is going like this, or they're crammed in a seat that's way too small for you and them, this helps them to feel and do better. But please don't make this the only way you entertain or interact with your child. I've seen it happen, and it's very, very sad. It's just sad, you know? So yeah. So, and then it makes others, like Michael Roman is saying here, You get the feeling that maybe they're not really thrilled with having children in their excursions. And that's a drag too, because if you're with a great group of kids, they're going to teach you things that you never thought possible. Bella is one of the most wonderful children, and she's going to show me Cornwall next year, I hope. And seeing it through her eyes would be great. Also, I went to turn wood in Utah with a teacher, and he loved to ski. And I had been skiing in like Big Bear and, Snow Summit. And a lot of times that snow is manufactured, but in Utah, it has real powder. And so my friend who's a skier, he's the kind of skier they drop you out of a plane and you ski some crazy mountain. He wanted to take me. Well, I am not the best skier. And so I love the bunny slope, but he just laughed at me when I said I wanted to do the bunny slope. His daughter, and he took me on what he thought was a beginner level, and I didn't do well. It was too much. I don't ski that much. I don't live in a skiing place. And I, little not as strong, but also start to get worried if it's too steep. I start to not believe in myself. So finally he got exasperated, and his daughter said, why don't I take you to the bunny slope and I'll teach you? His 8-year-old daughter. His 8-year-old daughter and I had a blast because we did this bunny slope in Utah that was perfect for me. And I think back then I was like, 55 years old. So I'm not young. But this 8-year-old brilliant young woman, this young girl, taught me, and she took me a normal slalom first, and then she took me over some little hills, and then she took me down a little incline. She had a really good teacher mind, and she really taught me well, and I had fun. And that's the kind of teacher you want, someone who makes you want to do it again, not make you so fearful of skiing or whatever you're being taught that you never touch it again. And you've probably been taught by someone who has taught you so badly or treated you so poorly when trying to teach you that you never want to do it ever again. I don't want to do it. Okay? And so that's so important. So remember for children, but remember also children are wonderful beings, and you can see into worlds that you may have missed out on. So as a parent, you have a lot of responsibility, and don't think it's an easy job, because it's not. So here we have Marianne. Hi, Marianne. We need to talk soon, sweetie. It's not the price. It's called bad behavior. There is no common courtesy, no manners. What happened to parenting? See, Marianne is feeling the same way too. So guys, this is a normal, you see how this is coming through? If I were to take a poll, it just goes right across, doesn't it? Yeah, adults seem to be the bigger problem, says Nancy. What do you say to that, parents? What do you say to that? Feel free to speak if you want to. We're not here to make you feel terrible. We're just saying what we're seeing. Whether we have kids that behave well, or whether we don't have kids and we're sitting there going, boy, that person is spoiling it for all of us. I invite you. I invite you to say something. Good morning. Bonnie says, just seeing your posts, Angie, and definitely agree. It is the unfortunate side of the social media, TikTok, IG Reels. Listen to that. What do you guys think about that? I kind of agree with Bonnie on a couple of levels. I mean, guys, if your phone is your whole life, you got to watch out. If everything you do is to post on your channels and stuff, you may look at my YouTube channel and see that my following is not, I'm not 1,000, I'm not 10,000 followers, but the followers I have here, the people who have subscribed, are very, very quality people. They really have some really good statements that you all make. You all input words and of wisdom, excuse me, that make me think. And oops, I'm out of tea. Just give me 1 minute because I need some water. When you talk a lot, you need some water. So let me just get me some water. Yes. That'll do it. But yeah, this is the people are quality that speak to me on this channel, that subscribe to the channel, and you people who tune in every day. You all really take a vested interest in what we discuss, and I really appreciate that. And I really learn from a lot of you out there. So I want to encourage you to make your statements like are being made here. Bella and Grandma. Well, there you go. See what I'm saying? This is Bella, what I was talking about. And they're an amazing family. Her mom is amazing. Her grandma's amazing. She's amazing. They're very, very amazing and a very, very generous family. And I'm looking to see them in, they're going to show me Cornwall next year, I hope. I'm crossing my fingers. They have had some illnesses in their family with COVID. And so we're hoping that they get better. We're sending all our love and wishes to all of you. But also, I hope that we can get this thing under control enough that I can come and see you, because I miss you guys an awful lot. All of you. I miss you all so much. And a very dear instructor that I learned my painting from. He just bought a home / art studio in Cornwall, and he's invited us to tea, you guys. So I'm really excited for you to meet him, and I'm very excited to meet him and his wife. He's an amazing fellow, and he's taught me quite a bit about painting. So I love him a lot, and I want to give a shout out to him. His name is Will Kemp, Kemp. Look up his website. He has great classes. He's a very, very good instructor. But he does ask you to do the basics, to have the discipline to do the basics first. So he doesn't just dive you right into some copycat painter technique. He really is about helping you learn the fundamentals. And the fundamentals are what can get you, because you get urgent. You want to paint right away. And yet having the fundamentals will help you to figure out what direction you want to take your painting. And that's what I told him I wanted to do. And one of the smartest things I think you can do if you're curious about painting, and this is what he does, he paints, is to check out his YouTube channel, because Will has several trainings on there that are free and kind of lets you see how he is as an instructor. And then if you like it, you go over to his website and join more classes. So I think he's really got this down. He's a lovely person, and I hope that we can say we become friends. So Bella, Grandma, all y'all out there, we're going to go to tea when we go out there to meet this amazing person and see the homes out there. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see Cornwall. It's just, everything seems to be ocean and built-in exercise, because it goes up and down, up and down. So I'm pretty impressed with it. Yeah, I'm in love with it. And I'm in love with you guys. Bella, thank you for popping in. I miss you, girl. I miss my best friend, my best little friend. Bonnie says, watched Nope last night. Did you go to the movie, or can you stream it? And saw a new warning note in the beginning that was much more stern than I've seen before at the theater. No phones, no texting. If we see it, no movie, and no refund. Bonnie, wow. Wow, I'm going to tell my husband. We don't usually have this problem anymore, and here's why. Because we wait till there's only about 2 or 3 people in the theater. So you can imagine the movie we're looking to see now, because most all of you have seen it, is the new Top Gun movie. Last time I looked, there was like 2 people in the theater, so that means we'd make 4, and that's what we love, because my husband's high risk. And then we do the recliners. So that way, even if someone in front of us is texting, which I can't imagine they want to, we're not, it doesn't bother us in the movie theater. So, but I like this. I like this warning. I think it's a shame they have to be so strict. But movie theaters are bleeding right now, aren't they? Because of streaming, they're not getting, so you don't have to tell me that you streamed it because you went to a theater. But theaters are having trouble filling the seats. They're very fortunate when it's a movie you all want to see and you can't wait. Like, Nope. This is the one my husband wants to see. And Top Gun. But we are patient. We wait, because we cannot be in a movie theater with a bunch of people. We just won't. Not for long extended amount of time. That's our choice. But we wait, So the one thing that's downside of that is people, if they want to talk about it. And this Nope is one of those movies where people want to talk about it. But my husband wants to see it, and we're going to go see it. And I will let you know when I've seen it, Bonnie, because my husband is he's like wanting to see it. and I'm like, I'm not so sure I want to see it, but I'll go. I read the synopsis on it because I wanted to know if it was like his other two, which I didn't like very much. So I just didn't want to be surprised. He wants to be surprised. In the case of this guy, if it was going to be a subject matter like Get Out, I don't like the subject matter because it makes me paranoid of hypnotherapists. You imagine being a hypnotherapist and seeing that movie, and now everybody goes, yeah, you're not touching me. And I don't want to have that attitude towards hypnotherapists. So I really watched that movie once, and yeah, not my cup of tea. I just didn't like the subject matter. It was scary, used a lot of suspense. Well done on the suspense. But yeah, it was one that just really didn't do it for me. And his other one, I was kind of meh on. So this one I read about and I thought, oh, this one could be cool. Because this has a few things happening that I think are interesting, as opposed to me going, yeah, no, I won't go. So I can now tell my husband that I'm happy to go because I read the synopsis and the synopsis sounds pretty interesting. So I will try it one more time. But sometimes I love suspense. Certain subject matter I avoid. Yeah. Movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Last Out on the Left. I don't care if I ever see those movies ever again. I saw them once and said, oh gosh, I can't unsee them. So there are movies that do that to you, or maybe not. But to me, I say, yeah, no, not interested. So that was my problem. But today I read the synopsis of that movie because it means so much to my husband. And we're going to go see it. So for sure. For sure, for sure. What's sad about the fight was they did it at Mickey's Philharmonic. Jim, don't you kind of feel like they want to do this for likes, for views on their social media? I mean, really, Mickey's Philharmonic, did they really fight or was it a setup? Do you know what I mean? Or did they irk someone so that they could put their phone up and use it so that we would all view it and get like 10 million zillion views, because that puts you in a category all your own, doesn't it? See, that's what I start to feel sometimes. I start to think to myself, really, I just don't think that's a very cool behavior. And I just can't help but sometimes think maybe you're being baited. You, the viewer, are being baited, is what I'm thinking, So that's just my thought on that. You can post, in the comments right here if you think that you agree with me or you don't, those of you who saw the fight, or I don't look at those because I don't want to be a part of the viewership. I'm hoping, it's kind of like when a news story, some guy wants to do something terrible, like jump off a building or set himself on fire or do something crazy because he wants the airtime on TV. Well, now it's social media, isn't it? Crazy movies, like Jackass, people doing really wild stuff, and it's to get a rise out of you. So it's kind of dangerous because I mean, at least movies like Jackass say, hey, don't do this at home. But how many people really listen? I mean, it is called Jackass, right? So that's what I'm wondering. That's what I'm wondering. Hey, everyone. Hope all is well. Hi, Andrew. And it's very interesting today. We are having a good conversation and debate. And I want to thank you all for participating today, because it always makes the call much more fun. Much more fun. Bob Berdeen says Terry is completely right. Terry's tribe is a collection of very good and helpful people. A common thread is that the tribe is, if they can help, they will help. And they're supportive of each other. And that's right. That's true. They are very supportive of each other. So that's what I love about it. When I started it, I didn't know what my Patreon page was going to be. I didn't know how it was going to develop. I didn't know how it was going to interact. And $5 a month, I deliver quite a bit. But there are other tiers too that you can be a part of. I've started to fulfill the $10 a month people, because many people will give me $10 because they think I deserve more than the $5. And it's to help me maintain not only this channel, but the tribe channel and, the free channels, because I'm a busy person. So I do behind the scenes and share with you some of my adventures that I'm doing and have done, etc. All of that goes on that tier level. So I'm starting to really fulfill it, one video a month, you get a very rare peek into some really cool stuff. It might go to twice a month if I'm so good, but you at least get one video a month and then all of the other perks. But that lets you have a peek into that at $10 a month. And then there's other tier levels, but I advise you not to go to those yet because I'm fulfilling them carefully. I only have 2 hands. So, you can go to the higher levels, but one of them is a tutorial tier, and I'm still working on making that happen. I have a lot of deadlines, and especially after having COVID-19, I'm behind, like really behind. So as a result, I want to make sure that you get to have, I want you to have content before you invest at that level. All right. But he's right. It's a great group of people. I didn't know there was a fight, says Bonnie, and I do not understand why you go that far. Only thing I can think is a majority of humans still are learning to control their temper, emotions, controlling and understanding. You're absolutely right. And I like your position you're taking, Bonnie, is that, a wise man and international speaker, Jim Rohn, who passed away in 2009, always said, wait 3 seconds before entering an intersection. And what that actually means is to check yourself. Okay. It does mean if you're at a stoplight, wait 3 seconds, because you can provide yourself getting into an accident if someone should run that red light, go in the opposite direction and T-boning you. If you wait that 3 seconds, you could prevent that. And there has been many cases when I've seen that happen. But also wait 3 seconds before you send an email. Read it over to make sure it is the attitude that you want to convey, because the written word can be very, very much misunderstood. Same with your texting. Same with your emotions in your fight. Take a break. Take a minute. Have you ever seen Clint Eastwood's movie, The Mule? It's one of my favorite movies, and it's a point that Bonnie is making here, to take a breath, take a minute before you lose your temper, right? And there's a sequence in that movie, and it's not a spoiler, where Clint Eastwood stops because he sees a Prius at the side of the road, and there's a black family that is there, and they are trying very hard because they have a flat tire. And the husband is more of a executive, he knows to Google on his phone, but his parents or he never learned how to change a tire. So he went to Google it, because many of you, that's what you do. But unfortunately, he was in the middle of nowhere, couldn't get a signal, so he couldn't get the instructions on how to change a tire. And that's when the Clint Eastwood character, an older man, appears to be in 80s, 90s, comes over and says, what's going on? And he says, you kids today, you rely too much on the phone. You need to learn some of these things that you can survive in life. Here, let me show you how to change a tire. And he walks him through it, and he says, it's great to help you colored folks do this. Now, they are taken aback. They actually do this in the film. But what they don't do is they take a breath. They take a minute. They assess who's speaking it, a man who is 90 years old. And they gently say to him, we don't like the term colored. It's offensive to us. And he says, really? Well, what's not offensive to you? And they say, we prefer black or just people. When we're referred to, we like to be referred to as black, or better yet, as just people. And he says, really? I'll be damned. Okay. And they change the tire. But you see, they waited 3 seconds before getting angry. The couple doesn't just go off and get angry and how dare you and what's the matter with you, you racist, blah, 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 like we've seen a lot of people do. We have, haven't we? So this is what I'm talking about. If we try to count to 3, bring it down, give it a minute, assess who's speaking to you, because sometimes they just don't know any better, or give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if, and that way you don't throw a punch. If they say something that ticks you off, you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean by that? And then if they're snarly and nasty and whatever, then you may have a situation, but do your best to avoid a fight by waiting 3 seconds before you go into that intersection. Okay. That's what they're saying. That's what I think is being said here by the Bonnie comment. Yes. Thank you, Bonnie. Respect is missing in the world. Yes. You need to respect other humans. Okay. Angie is saying she wants to be respected. I want to be respected. Treat each other with respect. Put that foot forward. Okay. It's not, your life is going to be so much better if you start out with respect. You know, why must you be the salmon that constantly swims upstream? This is going to tire you out. If you walk around with a chip on your shoulder, if you're always angry, you're going to be exhausted. So how about taking a minute, breathing? You know, if you have to get out in nature, your backyard, you have to go to a park or something, and just do your form of meditation. You like ocean, you like flowers, you like camping, you like trees, you like the smell of pine, or you like the smell of, I don't care, something that helps calm you. If it's a song you like to listen to, pop on those headphones and rock out. Just bring yourself down and try not to be so reactionary. Okay? Give that person across the way that says something that might have ticked you off the benefit of the doubt. Now, I have to state that when you've helped someone a lot and they still say something to you that is so offensive and so hurtful and so mean-spirited, then you may have to take that toxic person out of your life, okay? But you give them a few, 3 strikes or something before you erase them from your life, okay? But be sure, and you're going to still feel bad about it, okay? Because that happens. In order to discipline your children, you have to have discipline yourself. There she goes. She says it's just laziness. You must learn self-discipline as a child. It's not supposed to be easy. Yeah, I always say if parenting is easy for you, you're doing it wrong. So Diane is saying the same thing here. If you think parenting is easy, you're doing it incorrectly. Yeah, because the child is looking to you to be the guide. They're guiding you. That as a child, you need that guidance, and it's not always pretty. I know with my family, I grew at a time when you could spank your child, and in my elementary school they used a belt, and so the discipline was harsh. Not that I'm saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying you got to come up with some sort of discipline. One of the things I said to my cousin, because her son slapped her in the face. He was, I think he was 6, and he slapped her across the face, which I feel is completely crossing a line with your parents. She slapped her in the face, and she said, no, 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 you shouldn't do that. That wasn't enough for that child. And I said to her that if she didn't discipline him more sternly, however that would manifest itself, that he could go after her with a knife at 9 years old. I've heard about children going after their parents with knives and things. This is because you let this go. You never know where it's going to go. Kids test you, don't they? I know I did. And so she said, well, I don't believe in, spanking him. And I said, well, then you have to take something away from him. And I suggested the next time he slapped her is say, go to your room. Now, here's where, as a parent, this can really work. You go to the room together and you say, until you say you're sorry and mean it, we're not leaving this room. If it takes a day, if it takes a week, if we starve to death, if we pass out because we don't have water, you as the parent are building the story. We're staying here until you take my hand and say you're sorry and you're never going to slap your mother in the face ever again. Now, as a parent, you may have stuff to do. You may look at your watch and say, I can't spend more than an hour. Not allowed. Once you tell this child that's what you're going to do, you sit there. And you sit there for a while until this child does what you've asked. Okay? This is your sacrifice for this little being. Okay? So what my cousin did was exactly that. He slapped her again. She took his hand. She took him to his room and she closed the door and she sat in front of the door and she says, I'm going to stay here as long as it takes for you to say you're sorry. Now, at first, the kids. But that wears off. All of a sudden, his little tummy starts to growl because he's hungry. And mom ain't moving. Then he starts to plead. Maybe he throws a tantrum. Maybe he does all kinds of things. Tries to tear up the room. She sat firm. And finally, when he was exhausted, he realized the only key to unlock that door was to walk over to her, truly apologize, truly to say he's sorry, and to say he'd never do it again. It took 6.5 hours. That's actually pretty good. But if you're a parent that's going to put yourself over your kids because you've got things to do, then your challenge is your challenge, okay? Because if they know they can wear you down, okay, we'll do it as children, okay? I think I've told you the spoon-sized shredded wheat, where my parents thought that that was good cereal for me. I thought it was disgusting. To this day, I can't eat spoon-sized shredded wheat. But I used to sit there and take teeny tiny bites as my mother watched me. But then my mom got bored. There was a threshold where she got bored and she'd go and watch TV. And I always wondered why she didn't wonder how I was able to eat all my spoon-sized shredded wheat in 2 minutes once she left. But once she left, I dumped it down the sink, I rinsed out the bowl, and then I was done. Didn't eat it. But then I also knew as a child, I knew her breaking point. I knew where I would win. Okay? Am I proud of this? Heck no, I'm not proud of this. But I remember this. And the reason I remember this is so if I become a stepmother to the children and they try to pull the same thing on me, I call them on it. I call them on it. Perhaps you think you're going to outweight me, but let me tell you a story. And I tell them the spoon-sized shredded wheat story. And then I say, you're not planning anything like that, are you? So there you go. Okay. I don't know how you feel about this story. Feel free to post in the comments your thoughts about this. But this is exactly, you've got to be able to wait out so that they understand. Here's the thing about my cousin's son. He's a wonderful young man today. And he never slapped her again. Ever. He may have thought he wanted to, but then he remembered that room and how she stood by that door and stood fast. So she loved him that much. And he felt it. And today he's a beautiful young man. He's a really, really beautiful young man. He became a mechanic like his dad, or like his uncle, And he's a wonderful human being, just a love. But that's because of mom. That's because of mom. Audrey, good morning. Thank you, Audrey. That's going to be tomorrow. Yeah, 88. Infinities. We love the number 8, don't we? Yeah. Especially if in the Asian community, this is a very, very powerful number. So I told my dad he's going to have some great, great good wishes. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing him, Audrey, a red envelope, because he is that magical 88, which is pretty cool. Yeah, pretty neat. I'm excited to celebrate with him. Melissa says, I see it every day in the parks. I tell someone to get down off something. See, Melissa works at Disneyland. The parents ignore their children and just let them do whatever, or they think it's cute and encourage it. I've heard parents tell their kids to break the rules for a picture. Yeah, there you go. Now, here's the problem, Melissa. This is bad at Disneyland. But what happens is if you keep this rule breaking happening, then they are the genius who goes to the Grand Canyon during snow on the ground, told not to step at that edge to get the perfect picture, finding them falling over the cliff and dying. Snow covers all sins. So when they tell you don't step beyond the sign, don't step behind the sign. But we're always hearing about some couple who thought they were entitled to step beyond the sign and fallen, or those who step behind the sign and don't fall, but they're just going to keep doing it. Guys, don't do this crazy stuff. There's a reason people are telling you rules that say no. When they say don't, you can see this has got me worked up a little bit. When they say don't, do not enter. Do not go beyond this point. Do not this. Do not that. It means that some loser did. And it wasn't pretty. So listen to what those rules said. Do not climb. Do not this. They're not doing it to rule power over you. They're doing it to keep you safe. So please encourage your children. Don't do it for a selfie. There are plenty of beautiful places in Disneyland that are safe. Try the wishing well. Great picture. And many people tell me that standing in the front of the castle is really beautiful. So what's your problem? Don't do it. I'm with Melissa. Just don't do it. Don't make her add to her already busy schedule of telling your kids to get down. Not thinking much of Melissa and the people that work there, are you? Happy birthday, Mr. Hardin. Thank you. Thank you, Diane. I'll post for him in Facebook. He's not a Facebook person either. So I'll post it on Facebook tomorrow just so you guys can send your wishes. And then when I go to the convalescent hospital where he's, recuperating, I'll show him all the well wishes. He'll love it. He'll love it. And I'll show him on the iPad because his eyes, phones are, he has a phone, but he's always saying, my fingers are too big or my eyes, whatever. So thank you for that. He is 50 and some change, Melissa says. Yeah, exactly. Except for that the 88 is such a great number. I'm so excited for him. I'm probably more excited about being 88 than he is probably. Happy birthday, Dad. Hope I do the job as well as you have on this wonderful lady. Yeah, you're very sweet. You're very, very sweet to say that. Yeah, my dad could have had me build a chip on my shoulder because I'm from a mixed family, half black, half white, and always bullied for the way I looked. But my dad always told me stories of tolerance, and that's how I'm able to share with you stories of tolerance, taking a minute and understanding the person may be asking a question not to be racist or mean, but because they don't understand what they don't understand, okay? That's the reality of it. There are people in the world that are in an area where there are no people of color of any kind. They're in a neighborhood that's just the way the neighborhood is, very white bread, like Wonder Bread, or maybe it's the other way around, all black, all Italian, all, Asian, and they come out of those areas when they go to college or something, and they just are confused by the look. Nowadays with social media, not so much. But back in those days when it was newspaper and telephones and you had to walk to get to new places. Yeah. When I was in Buenos Aires shooting a Foster Farms chicken commercial, the people of Buenos Aires were just blown away by the color of my dreads. Up until then, they felt only people of color, black people, had black dreads. And so blonde dreads, they were just so confused. Many times they would walk up and touch them before introducing themselves to me. So imagine someone walking up and touching your hair, a perfect stranger. If you react adversely, take a look, lock it into their eyes and see why they're touching your hair. And all of a sudden they would go, oh my God, because they were so fascinated. Sometimes you lose yourself. You don't mean to. And a lot of them did. Many would rub my head because apparently it's good luck in Buenos Aires. If you're someone that doesn't like that, wear a hat. But my point is this, tolerance first. Don't fly off the handle and get angry. Sometimes the person is just innocently asking. So thank you for that. Happy birthday. Angie says, kids around here seem to ruin things, just ruin things, not respect, a lack of guidance. I know. Sometimes they just break stuff, don't they? I don't know what the deal is with that child. I don't understand what's going on in the emotional makeup of the child if they do that. Again, is it rooted somewhere with the parents? Is their parent demonstrative like that? So they see their parent doing it and then they do it. I don't want to take it completely off the child because sometimes children, there are those rare occurrences, but a lot of times they've learned it from somewhere. Some people blame video games. I don't know. I don't play video games. I hope that's not the case because video games, people love them, but yeah. So yeah. Hi, Wendy. Loved catching a short glimpse of you on 7/7. I'm sorry, Wendy. I'm just man, the birthday, Disneyland's birthday, I could only spend a few hours there because I had only been negative for COVID-19 for a week. And I have to tell you that I've come to work really hard in the daytime and not so hard because in the evening I just go and everybody tells me it's because of COVID, but I'm like, it needs to be done already. I'm one of those people that's like, look, I have stuff to do. Stop knocking me out at 6:00. It's not fair. Even though I get up at 6:00, I don't want to be knocked out at 6:00. I want to go at least till 9. It's been challenging for me. Been really challenging. Sometimes my legs just say, hey, if you don't get off us, we're bringing you down, baby. So, so it's just one of those things I got to get used to. But I'm working to get stronger and to get and to not be so sleepy. I'm going to get through this. I'm not positive for COVID. It's just they say when you recuperate, this is some of the things that you can go through. Diane says, I am only referring to the ones that let their kids act up. I understand that. If your kids can't listen, perhaps they have ADHD, get them tested. Or you know what that's like. People thought I had ADHD. This is because I was excessively creative. I needed stuff in my hands or I would take something apart. And sometimes that can be dangerous. My parents, fork, light socket. What does that do exactly? So my parents soon realized that they had to keep me busy. I don't know what this is, so we'll turn it off because it's not who I was hoping it would be. So we'll see who that is, and they can leave a message if it's important. So yeah, so at first that my grandparents thought that I needed to be drugged or tranquilized, and my mother said she's just a very precocious, curious child, and they were absolutely right. I am. If I didn't have something to do, I'd find something to do. So that's, if you've got a child like that who is constantly, my mother found out that if she gave me paper, if she took a normal sheet of paper and made sure there were stacks of it and gave me a pen or pencil, I stayed put because I was just drawing and creating scenes and creating magic sketch. So you find out what gets your kid going. Maybe he likes to make little movies or whatever. And in today's world, if you've got, you can make all kinds of things and you can put it up on social media. I mean, you have a platform to show it and you have places to do it. I mean, it's magical how fun all of this is. When I was sick with COVID, though, I had to have something in my hands, but I couldn't do stuff because I constantly had to hold my nose because it was running all the time. So I read books. I love reading books, and I haven't had the opportunity. It's funny because I prayed I'd love to have a day where I could just sit and read books. I should have said a day where I could sit and read books and not be sick. God loves you to be specific sometimes. But I did get 2 or 3 books read, and I loved it. I don't read a lot of fiction. I like reading nonfiction. And my best friend is an amazing author. I know she is because she's amazing. And she wanted me to read some of her books because she writes fiction. And I told her that I didn't think I was a good candidate for it. Because what if I read it and I didn't like it? And it's just not for me. It's like, I don't read fiction. I used to long ago, but not now. I really want to read true stories. I want to read nonfiction. So I read a lot of memoirs, a lot of books that were based, if a movie is based on a book, then sometimes I'll read that book. Right now I'm in the middle of Hidden Figures because I want to know about these 3 amazing women. But this to me is what I like, the true storytelling. So I love her that I said, what about your sister? Because she has a sister who loves nonfiction. She actually has a lot of friends that love nonfiction. Those are the people she needs to get those in front of, people who love nonfiction. And then people who love the nonfiction that she writes. I mean, the fiction, forgive me, I'm nonfiction. The fiction that she writes. People who would kind of like the way she writes fiction. Because I know they're going to love it. She's very talented. But having me read it and me say, it was, I'm her best friend. To get that from your best friend sometimes is a blow and it might stop her from creating. And so that's the last thing I want to do with her or any of my friends. I want them to move forward in the best way they can. So I said to her, please don't take this as dissing you. This is just protecting you. Find someone who reads fiction and the fiction like you like to write because you're going to go further. And then when the books comes out, whether I read fiction or not, I will buy and support it because I love you. And then I will read it, but right now you need people who will guide you to its production and its publishing. And that I could possibly do more damage than help. And that's what you do with your friends. And that's what you do with your kids. You think about that person. How can you help that person in the best way possible? And that's what I thought. You love your friends. You don't want to be reading a script. I don't read sitcoms well. Well, then you don't need to have me read a sitcom. Yeah. Think about every level of your life, not only with your children, but with your friends, because you don't want to come back with a comment that might make them feel shot down. You don't want to do that. And if you do want to do that, you need to check your brain and figure out why you would do that to a friend. Okay. Yeah. Just a serious like wake up call, take a look at the man in the mirror. You see? Yeah. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Terry. Happens here in Ohio at Kings Island. Oh my goodness. I still haven't been to Kings Island. One day I'll get to Ohio, Mary, and I will get this and I will see what this place is like. I've heard so many wonderful things about it, but I'm sorry that there are fist fights and things. It's just sad. Just sad. Bonnie says my sister kids are some of the sweetest and aware of others. With that said, she's still exhausted from parenting. Of course she is, because she's doing it right. I feel parents with more wild kids, parenting in general is difficult. Well, I mean, if you have a wild kid that's got a lot of energy, then you got to figure out what you can do to make that energy go down, right? If you can afford it, get them a puppy and show them. And then, if you can afford it, because that's another mouth to feed out there. So don't take this literally. But if you have an energetic child who really, really wants a puppy, then you sit down with them and say, if I get a puppy, you're going to learn how to take care of this puppy. And by that, then you get someone who can train the puppy. And that child is the one who is the official dog puppy person. Okay. This works wonders. I remember as a little girl, I wanted a dog. I wanted a dog. I wanted a dog. And we had a dog, but they were left outside all alone. But I wanted my own dog. I wanted a dog that I could run with and play with, like I see on TV, Lassie. Who doesn't want Lassie, But my parents made it very clear that I would be the one that cleaned after that animal, and I would be the one that helped train that animal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I will tell you that sometimes I didn't do it well, and sometimes I did it very well. My friend Mark bought me a little rescue dog, an Australian Shepherd mix that I didn't take to right away because my other dog had been poisoned by my neighbor, and I was very sad about it. So I wasn't really over my grieving period. But my little dog Yo-Yo, Australian Beagle mix, taught me that I better get with it, or he was going to train me to do a few things. So I started to train him, and he was an amazing dog. He could, his vocabulary was easily over 200 items. I'd say, Yo-Yo, go get the phone. And he would get the phone, and I would reward him. Yo-Yo, go get the ball. Yo-Yo, go get the green ball, and so on and so forth. Yo-Yo was so smart that after I left, because he really loved my father, I didn't have the heart to take him from my dad. Sometimes when you have an animal, they love you very, very much, but they fall in love with someone just a little bit more. And my dad was that person. And my dad loved Yo-Yo so much. And so, but there were nights when my dad would leave the front door open to get cool air coming into his house. No screen door. Yo-Yo would sit by the door and wait, true story, wait for my father to fall asleep. If I'm Yo-Yo, he would. And the minute my dad was asleep, Yo-Yo would take off and run around the neighborhood. Maybe meet a few friends, maybe go get something to eat. But he always, and I don't know if he had a watch, but he always knew just how long my dad would be asleep, because when my dad woke up, Yo-Yo was always right there. Very smart dog. And you have to be careful how you train your dog, because my best friend I told you about, she had a very smart beagle dog named Daisy. She taught Daisy how to entertain people by jumping through a hula hoop. Well, Daisy was one of those dogs that applied what she learned, and she figured if she could jump through a hoop, she could jump over a fence, and did so very often. Luckily, as a beagle, beagles move slow because their nose is their greatest asset, and they have a real hard time moving quickly because they smell everything. So she knew that she could just walk along the neighborhood and probably find Daisy just a few blocks down, because Daisy's nose was going crazy. Now, sometimes she'd find her dog Daisy at the Sizzler, because there was a Sizzler nearby where she lived. And Daisy would go over there and look for cheese toast, which the guy at the back would always make sure, one of the custodians of Sizzler would always make sure Daisy had plenty of cheese toast. So my friend could just call Sizzler and say, could you look at the back and see if he's feeding my dog? They would say yes. She'd go put her dog in the car and bring him back. But that's what I'm saying. If you train your dog to do tricks, see how smart they are, because they could apply them to other situations. Dogs are a very smart creature. But that brings me back to, if you have a precocious energy wild child, have them take the responsibility of being the dog person. Feed them, take care of them, brush them, and train them. because boy, it sure worked for me and my sister. We had a blast taking care of our dogs. Didn't always do it perfectly. Maybe once in a while we missed a pile of poo and my father would say something about it. And sometimes they would end up taking care of the dog if we got too busy or we got distracted. But for the most part, we took it very seriously. And I think your wild children might do that too. If you're someone, you ask for help. Dogs like to have a job. Many dogs like a job. And so this works symbiotically with both. It works very well. Yeah. If you can afford a puppy, this is a great way to help your energetic child have something to do and something they'd love to do, because who doesn't love a little puppy? Especially nowadays, you discipline a child in public, people will scorn you. You don't discipline, people will scorn you. There has to be a balance, and we also don't see them 24/7. Exactly. And it's the kind of discipline nobody likes. So again, Bonnie, you have a very good point here, but nobody likes their children. Nobody likes to be yelled at in public. Okay. Nobody. If you yell at me in public, I will take you down. Okay. You pull me aside and you respect me enough to talk about what your problem is with me in private. Okay. So for a child, maybe you do the same thing, same respect. I will literally rip your face off if you yell at me derogatory in public. It's something that is a bone to pick with me. And I know there's many of you out there that have the same problem. It's disrespectful. So maybe you take your child aside, honey, you stay here. We're going to take I'm going to take little Johnny, little Sally, whatever, over to this little corner, and we're going to have a talk. Okay. And then you explain, I'm taking you over here to show you that you did something that is embarrassing for yourself and for me. And you tell them, okay, if that's the case. But if you're yelling, like Bonnie is pointing out, if they are disciplining their child in front of everybody and they're being scorned for it, well, then think about the kid. They may have done something bad, but if you don't like being yelled at in public by other people, don't do it to your kids. Okay. Just because they're a little person doesn't mean that they don't deserve some respect in these cases. Sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you react, okay, because they're in danger. You're going to cross the street and not look both ways. You're going to be screaming, and you don't care what people think. You are trying to save that person's life. So there are extenuating circumstances. But as a rule, this is just a suggestion I have for you. Okay? Because these brawling and things, this stuff is important. Don't you think so? Good morning. Hey, I miss you, MJ. We need to have a talk because I'm missing you, buddy. We also have nighttime Zoom calls. So if you're, trapped in your office and you want to listen to us like the radio today, a Zoom call tonight at 6:30, we'd love to have you listening. I still don't even want kids. Love them, but just not for me. I'll stick with animals. And this is the way some people feel. And it's not because kids are not. It's just some people are more fur baby types. Okay. I spent my life raising my own mother. And I'm not going to get into it now, but that made me at like 13 say, I don't want my own children. I'd rather be a good auntie. Had nothing to do with kids, had to do with raising adults. That's a heavy burden, I'll tell you what. But now everything's good. Okay, so that it was worth it. Terry, my sense is that we've become so accustomed to immediate gratification that so many now have little, if any, patience for others and the challenges they have in life. A little understanding goes a long way. Jim, that's a very, very profound statement that you gave just there. Absolutely. I mean, we can change channels like this, right? Bloop, 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 bloop. The TV goes, because you're going, bloop, 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 bloop. Attention spans of a gnat. So he could be right? You want that instant gratification. You want people to instantly behave the way you've seen in other medias. That's a possibility. And I really appreciate you, Jim, for bringing that up, because that could be exactly the problem. If you're standing in line and it takes longer than 10 minutes, if that's you, yeah, this is short attention span theater. And, again, you got to think about that, don't you? Jim, well said. Thank you. Honestly, we started to see the entitlement and confrontations before COVID, which made us question renewing our passes. It takes away from the experience. And Yvonne, you're absolutely right. I think it was less before COVID, but I could be wrong. You know, one thing about COVID and the year that we spent with it, like the really bad year, is we don't have a time. Like people will say, how long do you think it's been? You go, it can't be about 6 months. But you always seem to just erase that year in your brain, that year of, ugh. So, but what you're saying, I think, no, you're right. I did. But I always thought the brawls were more occasional, not so consistent happening. But what you're saying, Yvonne, is maybe not, because if that's making you, question your past, I can't imagine that you only saw one fight and that's it. Okay, no, you're saying you saw several misbehaviors and you were like, maybe I don't want to come here anymore. I get what you're saying, and it's a very good point. And Disney needs to say, how can we fix this? Like the movie theater that Angie was talking, I think it was Angie was talking about the movie theater being, really, really tough. I may be wrong on that. That may not have been Angie. And if it wasn't, forgive me. Paul says it's not just at Disneyland. Notch just implemented a chaperones rule for kids under 18 on Fridays and Saturdays because some unruly teens force Knott's to close 3 hours early. I did hear this, Paul. Wow. Yeah. That's actually, what do you think about that, Paul? That sounds like a pretty good idea. I'll bet you kids, though, who are under 18 are not loving that. But what did we say? If you're going to behave like this, we're going to put rules. And that's kind of a passive rule, is just telling these kids, if you want to be treated like someone who can be alone, then you need to act like it, or your parents have to come. And you know how much when you're about, what is it, like when you're 13, you're like, Mom, Dad, please stand down there, aren't we? Yeah, so I think this is a good rule. Disneyland should probably do the same. Unfortunately, it's the parents who are brawling sometimes. Good grief. Good gravy, Marie. Unbelievable. Good morning. Thank you. Kids are addicted to phones instead of interacting with each other or parents. Parents are lazy these days, says Donna. And that is why kids are running wild and becoming raised by social media. It's absolutely true. I had to help some children figure out, some young people, how to talk face to face. This is my forte, and anyone who didn't grow up with these phones, we talk face to face. I'm still better talking to you face to face. So I've had to show some kids how to do that, because once they're face to face, they don't know what to say sometimes. And sometimes they say things very inappropriate because they're so used to texting and live chatting on the phone. Absolutely true. Perfectly says Lori. Yeah, so she's in agreement. Maybe it's a social thing. The first time I went to Tokyo Disneyland, I was amazed when I saw props in easy to reach in the queue for Pooh. It's never happened in a U.S. park. Yeah, and in Japan, it's happening a little bit, but I don't think it's happening by people who live in Japan. And so, yeah, they have respect for things for the most part. However, they're not real fond of, there are a lot of Japanese people when I was in Japan that don't like retro stuff. Like they're not really fond of vinyl record players, stuff like that. Sometimes they seem, some of them said they didn't like that stuff. And I see that there. I mean, over here and everywhere else. I have a friend in Japan who loves that stuff. And he gets a lot of vinyl, and he needed a way to play it. But in order for him to get a record player to play it, I had to send him one from here, even though the plants are based in Japan. They don't sell it to their group down there. I don't know if this is still true, but back in the day when I was there, it was. Gina says, too many people have lost their sense of humanity over the years. The entitlement is unbelievable. If folks would think about others before acting, perhaps the world would be in a better place. No, Gina, it would be. It would absolutely be. Bless you for that. We miss you too, says, so that's Bella. Bella's saying it. You see what I mean? But Gina, you're absolutely right. If people put others in front, do something nice for someone else, they'd feel a lot better, and it would be a better world, just like you're saying. Angie says, Bonnie, we have had so many issues around my area. They are not letting children under 18 in without adults after 6, no matter free babysitting. Bingo. No more. No matter. Yeah. Either way. Yeah. You're not going to let the parks. They're done babysitting, aren't they? Yes. What was it like working with a human cast Barry's family. Barry's family, this is coming out of left field, Jacob, but I'm glad you asked it. The adult actors were, a lot of times when we work with humans, when we're doing audio animatronic puppets and we're doing puppets like the Foster Farms chickens, when I do them, the actors have to have time to get used to the characters because they're fascinated by them. So let's say you're doing an automated, an audio animatronic character like Barry. What happens is the humans do this because they become so real that they forget where they are, what they're doing, and that they're opposite and supposed to be delivering a line. That happens a lot at the beginning. And then once they get used to it, then they really enjoy it. But they can't get over what we do. They think we're unicorns and magical because we are. Thank you for that question. On the Country Bears movie. Yes, the Country Bears was a big deal. So many people were just, when they first started, they were just mesmerized. They were captivated by the performances because we're a team. When you see 2 or 3 people making one thing work in unison so well, you can't help yourself. Foster Farms Chicken, it's 2 people, the lead puppeteer and wingman, people who make the wings work. Clever name, isn't it? Anyway, in the very first commercial we did for Foster Farms, we had the #1 commercial actress in the world working with us. She was an amazing woman. She got more work than she knew what to do with. But when she acted opposite the chicken, she just couldn't get a line out. She was thrown into the situation. The actors opposite her were our chickens. And she was like, and the director kept yelling, cut, cut, cut. And finally, we as puppeteers said, you need to get us out of the car. Let us get out of the car. Let us sit with her and let her just experience the chickens before she has to be on camera. Because she was just blown away by how real they were, how fun they were. She fell in love with them. But they're basically glorified sock puppets. And she just loved them. So we sat underneath the tent with her and she got to touch them and to have a conversation with them and start to realize that what she was, the 2 birds she was talking to was a 4-person puppeteer crack team. So people are fascinated by how they work. You love puppets. Those of you who love puppets know that you love the way the Hensons create things. And I'm a Henson puppeteer. So you get fascinated by looking underneath the characters more than the characters. And that's exactly what was happening to her. She saw a car of people pressed on the floorboards and making these characters be, she was mesmerized. So we helped her and she got the commercial done and she did a fabulous job. But first she had to get to know puppets because they are mesmerizing little beings and they are magical. So she just got touched by the magic, as did many people for the Country Bears. We brought them on set a couple of times so that they could see how these function. And they were blown away. I used to have people stand behind me while I programmed the head for Big Al and for Trixie and would practice my lines and stuff. People would stand and watch. Not every puppeteer likes that to happen, but I don't mind it. I understand. I mean, I even showed Willie Nelson how to perform my Big Al head. He just was so excited. I thought he was going to start crying, because it's really cool to put yourself in that rig and make it come alive. So that's what was happening to a lot of people. They just didn't believe that we could do what we do. And that's the beauty of being a puppeteer, really. Yeah, you make magic happen. You open a window in people's heads, and I love doing that. Fight between 2 families in Disney World. Waiting line leaves 1 visitor hospitalized. And is this what you're talking about? Oh, that's one. We had it at Disneyland. We had it at Knott's Berry Farm. I think Magic Mountain had a fight. That's the problem, Jacob. It's everywhere. But Disneyland Paris just had people climbing on stuff. I don't know if they had a brawl, but in Disneyland Paris, people were climbing on the new Avengers ship. And they, the Parisians didn't know what to do. The Paris Disneyland was like, mon Dieu, so. If so, I look up on Google and saw pictures. Looks just awful. Hook's pretty bad. We need more Terri Hardin Jackson style kindness in the world. Yeah, come look and subscribe to my channel, won't you? Well said, Jacob. Appreciate that. I sent you an email, Terry, not the Dilbert drawing one, but the other one. Okay, I haven't looked, so I will look. Thank you for letting me know. I had a couple auditions this weekend, so I'm not Weekends, I don't really try to stay away from the computer, except for telling you what I'm going to do on Monday. And that even goes, sometimes I'm doing that in the middle of the night. You guys know when those post. So challenging for me. Melissa says, I think if it's going to matter in 10 minutes, if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter, and move on. Yeah, exactly. Well said, Melissa. I just resent it to you just in case you didn't see it. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. You know me too well. I love your spoon-sized shredded wheat story. Oh, you're welcome. I remember. There's more to that story, actually. I was afraid my parents might get wise to the sink bit. So when I was a kid, and I'm telling you, I was like 2 or 3 years old. Okay, so please don't estimate the brain of a child, all right? There was a landing. So in order to go to our basement, which was our den, our family room, you could go down a flight of stairs. Then there was a platform and you go down a flight, another stairs, that kind of switchback stairway. On that landing between this direction and this direction was a Chester drawer. And I used to spoon my cereal underneath the Chester drawer and hide it there. True story. I'm telling you these stories because you've got to understand kids are innovative. I was always innovative. I did that for 3 years. Okay. Well, maybe 1.5 years. Maybe I'm exaggerating. So let's be real. 1.5 years. My parents then bought a home in the San Fernando Valley and they had to move that chest. And guess what they found living underneath it? You ever seen the, what's it called? The Hydra, anyway, that blobby thing that crawls in Star Trek, the original one with Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner, where Spock says it's hurting and it has children and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, that's what it looked like, this thing breathing and living. And my father was like, you could barely tell it was spoon-sized shredded wheat is my point, Diane. And my dad said, I wonder what this is. And of course, if you've ever seen A Christmas Story, I did not confess to it. Nope. My dad probably knew anyway. But the point is that my dad did not act unless he was sure it was a kid's fault. So if you stayed quiet. So there's the other button on that story, Diane. I used to tell stepkids that I wrote that book they're getting their ideas from, that you wrote the book they're getting their ideas from. Yeah. I used to bring like magazines and things to the table when one of my stepkids was eating really, really slow. And I'd say, take your time. We've got all night. So, kids just think I used to think when I would go to school and it was sunny out there, how many people had this happen? My mom says, take the umbrella, it's going to rain. And you thought, Mom, I don't need the umbrella. And she'd go, take the umbrella. And if you didn't take the umbrella and you came back drenched, you just didn't know how she knew. So, So if you become this magical creature that they can follow, children love it. I loved it. I believed everything my parents said. Yeah. Even when it wasn't true. And there were some people just feel entitled. I get sick too. Thanks for sharing. I know. And I want you to be able to share also, Diane, which is why I'm doing this today, because sometimes you need to talk this out. And I hope if you're joining us later, will post in the comments if this is bothering you too, or if something like this bothers you. Like in the tribe, we're going to get a lot more down and gritty on certain subjects because sometimes you can get dissed. Have you not spoken up about how you feel or your positions in life, and then you get dissed on the channel? If it happens, your channel gets dissed, please don't take it personally. This is a person just, stating their opinion. Move on, And if you're lucky like I am, everyone else who's on the feed goes after that person and says, if you don't like it, change the channel. Don't subscribe. When you were at Disney World twice, people kept walking over in my power. Oh, yeah, huh? And not just at Disney, but everywhere else. And the thing gets me about it is it's from people who are grown up adults. Yes. Well, Jacob, this is because sometimes people resent, some people can get just, some people don't look down, first of all. A wheelchair is something that I think is very obvious, but sometimes people just don't see it. And you may not believe me, but when I did the walk from Santa Barbara to Malibu, they showed us a safety video. It was a breast cancer walk from Santa Barbara. It was a 60-mile walk. We did it over 3 days, 20 miles each day, right? Yeah, I think that's what we did. And they did a video about fire hydrants. True story. They told us to pay attention to that fire hydrant, because people would be walking and talking and break a leg because they tripped over, you got it, a fire hydrant. So I'm not saying that all people aren't rude to you in your wheelchair. I'm just saying some are clueless. So just try to be tolerant. If they're mean to you, on them. But honestly, sometimes they just don't see you. And that's one of the challenges I have with the big baby strollers that are like, 3 kids across. The streets are only so wide at a Disney park. So now they've outlawed the 3 across. You can barely get the 2 together kids strollers, because these strollers used to run into the back of your ankles or your knees. These people would be chattering and not know the length of their stroller. You're not in a stroller, but if a person is only half seeing you, they may give you a look. So I hope they don't, because you're not choosing to be in a wheelchair, a power wheelchair, because it's fun. And it probably is fun. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying, if you had your ways about you, you might have a different vision in store. So treat you properly. So yeah, don't let them get away with it, but do it with kindness and humor, and at least you'll feel better. Good morning, Terry, says Joseph. It's sad so many people refuse to do things responsibly and continue ignoring warnings and refuse to follow the rules. Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. So I think Disney's going to have to put in that chaperone thing, aren't they? If your kids are climbing, y'all get kicked out. So yeah. Who should know better? Exactly. Angie says, we have seen a lot of defacing of property, especially in cemeteries. Why are you ruining grave? Yeah, what is that about? Instead, go do those rubs. I always love to go into graveyards and do the rubbings, where you take the tissue paper and a pencil or graphite and rub. For some reason, that's very soothing. You can talk to the grave while you're there. Thank you for allowing me to do a rub of your tombstone or whatever. It's kind of spiritual and fun. So no, I don't get that either. Unfortunately, graveyards have to be guarded, don't they? Because, they used to be guarded because you had people stealing bodies out of graveyards. And so now it would be nice to guard the graveyard so that people wouldn't tag them, because, that's pretty rude. No one wants to see that on a family member's. And I don't know why they do that, unless it's their own family member. Grandma is very strict, always says manners and nothing. And cost nothing and mean everything. Mom said her teacher at school, and she was very mean to her to set an example. Oh, I see. Said her teacher at school was mean to her. Okay. Glad she isn't my teacher. See what I mean about wonderful kids? This is Bella speaking here. Almost age 11. Because your birthday's coming up, right, Bella? A little birdie told me your birthday's coming up. But this is her saying, this is the way that kids express themselves and things. And Bella is a very, very wonderful child. She's a great kid, older than her years, actually. And here she's saying, glad she doesn't have that mean teacher. I had a mean teacher too, Bella, and I didn't like her at all. And when my mother tried to get me out of the class because she was very mean to me, the principal said my hands are tied because this teacher had tenure, meaning she was a taproot, and he couldn't be fighting with her was not so easy. But it would have been nice if he had tried. My father got into the mix, and I was finally moved to another because she was racist, and she let it out all on me, and she was racist. She was seriously racist, Bella. So my parents, made it a civil thing. And the principal got involved. But it would have been nice if the principal got involved by his own ethics and not, I can't because she has tenure, So lazy is as lazy does, right, Bella? So I'm happy you don't have that teacher either. Oh, the Zoom is tonight. I'll add it to my calendar. Yes, Bonnie, 6:30. Check your email. I sent one from Patreon, but I also posted it in our private Facebook page, and I will post it again tonight just before 6:30, as I always do when it's Wednesday. So yes, those of you in the tribe, tonight at 6:30. I just thought it would be cool because Joe Mino started a new job, and I want to hear about it. So, and so many people like the night one that they asked, and I hear and I obey. They have to remove stuff for repair all the time, says Melissa. The rabbit was gone for 3 months. Oh man, I have to tell you, when they first did those beautiful little statues around the hub at Disneyland, people were cutting off parts of the bronzes. I could not believe it. I mean, because now you're defacing art. See, I'll get ticked off enough, but now you're defacing art. What is the matter with you? Just please don't be that person. Please, Lord, don't be that person. Don't be so entitled that you feel like you need to cut Chip or Dale off of their platform. Just too much for me to bear. So I feel for you, Melissa, and I know exactly what you're talking about because it sure does make you angry. I wish I could work on set. I wouldn't care if it was change of snacks or coffee, just be part of it. Bonnie, that's called a personal or production assistant. And if you're really interested in doing that, talk to Evan, because Evan Hunter is a production assistant. Evan will tell you it's not a lot of money, but it's a pocket full of fun. So tonight, I'm sure he's going to be on the call. Reach out and ask him that question, okay? And he'll tell you about it. Who knows? He might even be able to help you, because he loves being a production assistant, and there seems to be plenty of work out there, just doesn't pay a whole lot. Joseph says, I saw the new Winnie the Pooh show this past weekend in New York. Oh, it was wonderful, with puppets, and a few of the cast shared their experiences after the show. You could see the love they have for performing the show. It's going on tour across the country next. I think that'll be a lot of fun, a lot like Lion King. I love that. And then I saw a show, I can't remember where it was, maybe in Florida, that I think it was my friend John Johnston took me to, and it was Little Mermaid. Now, I saw a fabulous Little Mermaid show in Japan, which was great years ago, but this one was cool too, puppets. So what happens is if you're a puppeteer who builds, i.e. me, then I'm like, ooh, what can I build? What can I do? What can I create? And bring my friends together so we can do a puppet show. Because the nice thing about the internet is it's your platform to show stuff. So I'm eager to do that. Got to cross a few hurdles first, got to fill my obligations first. Why? Because that's the way I was taught. Audrey, I think the pandemic is seriously damaging kids. I think you're right, Audrey. I think we shouldn't take that away, but we can't use that too much as an excuse. On a side note, says Bonnie, it's Disability Awareness Month, which I just found out last week. Oh, do people with disabilities like to call that disabilities, or would they prefer challenged? Because there are a lot of people in the world who don't look at it as a disability. They look at it as, this is the way I was born, something to work with. Something makes me different. What do you think? What do you think? I'm just curious. Good morning. Hi, Patty Fox. Good to see you. Yes, I was waiting for this, Bella. I was waiting for you to tell me it's time to go to sleep. Last day at school tomorrow, then 6 weeks off. I can hear you dancing. I hear you tap dancing. Bella, I hear you tap dancing. Lots of beach days. You are a swimmer. That is for sure. Okay. Well, since you're going to be out of school, I hope you come and visit us on Zoom. Okay, sweetheart? Okay. Please do. Bring your family. All right. I love you. Happy dreams. Michelle says, bye, Bella, and night night. With that, guys, we're just under 2 hours. I know I wanted to keep it to an hour, but I just thought there was a lot of good talk going on. So I decided to do that extra hour today. Do something nice for someone else. I know you'll feel a whole lot better if you're one of those people. Doing something for others is what lifts your spirits and makes you feel better about yourself. Trust me, this is why I love to be this person. Okay, so that's my secret. Do it for others and you're going to feel better. You're going to really love life. All right. And I will see you Friday for Ask Me Anything Friday. Get your questions revved up. Don't know what I'm going to talk about. If you have a suggestion, let me know. Hugs and loves. Let's see. I have a colleague from the lab who developed MS later in life. She's okay with disability, but can see how others or may not. That's really sweet of her to think of others, Angie. But it's a question that I often ask, because I have a friend of mine that grew up with my dad whose hands start here. So it's just shoulder and then hands. He always called it a challenge. drove a car, did everything. Just said it's one of the things God gave me to help me appreciate my life better. So that's kind of why I asked you that question. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful day, Bonnie. Have a wonderful day, Angie. Love and hugs to Diane. You guys have a good day. And I hope you'll check out patreon.com/Terri Hardin and lend your voice to the conversation. Be a part of the tribe. Mwah! Love you. See you soon. Do nice for someone else. It'll make you feel a whole lot better. Bye for now.